welcome back to the Scarlet Faithful. My not so rapid reaction a few hours after the game. It's obviously busy weekend, family day, but wanted to touch on Rutgers defeating Purdue 27-24 when it was quite, let's start with the positives. First of all, anytime you're down 10-0 on the road and you win, it's a huge outcome for your program. It shows resiliency. It shows character. And you have to give this team a lot of credit after last week, losing 56-10. And that was actually not even as close as the game actually was against Oregon. They lost 4 straight, 0-4 in the Big Ten. You go against a team in the Big Ten that's lost 13 straight entering this game in Big Ten play, and you're down 10-0 on the road at early on in the game. A team of lesser character would have definitely given up. David Anderson and I have talked about this a lot. Shiano's teams always tend to kind of rise when you doubt them the most, and you do have to give him credit for that. Last year we saw it. They were 4-4, and they responded really well. They had lost 4 in a row in October and kind of left for dead. A lot of injuries there. Not so dissimilar to what the situation is right now. Obviously, the quality of opponent today, not very good. I honestly, we're going to save the criticism for later. Let's keep the positives. But when you're down 10-0 and you win the game, especially on the road in conference, that's a big turnaround. So credit to this team. I thought offensively, let's just start with KJ Duff, career day for him. Ian Strong unable to go. We kind of suspected that would be the case. KJ Duff just on 7 targets, 6 catches, 241 yards, a touchdown, 73 yards after the catch, had a touchdown of 72 yards, but had so many big plays in this game and really emerged as a top-notch playmaker that this pass offense is desperately needed to complement and to step up when Ian Strong is not able to. So just a sophomore, if there's any reason to give to NIL right now for Rutgers, is to keep KJ Duff and get him to come back for a junior year. He was outstanding. And obviously for Rutgers, it was finally nice to see as the game went on that they leaned on their strengths, that they threw the ball downfield and they made big plays with Duff. Obviously, there was a lot of they ran the ball almost 2-1 to throwing the ball today, which is definitely different than they've done so far. David and I talked about going to this game. I thought they should just not worry about what Purdue does and try to score as many points as possible and throw the ball as much as possible. That was definitely not the game plan. Ethan Kaliakmanis, 19 of 27, super efficient, 70%, 359 yards, a touchdown. He was excellent. Obviously, a lot of that to Duff, but they ran the ball 48 times to 27 passes. They were able to control the time of possession because of it. But at the same time, 37 minutes to the game, Purdue just 23. That's what they wanted to do. But it wasn't working early on. They didn't have enough offense. They really struggled. They didn't score right before the half on a 17-play, 85-yard drive. It chucked off like 6 minutes on the clock. That really gave this team much needed momentum because they were kind of dead in the water right before the half. So to score there was big. Then they come out at halftime. They give up a touchdown immediately to Purdue. You're down 17-7. But then the offense responds once again. So, hats off to Kaliakmanis. Obviously, Duff, he mixed it up overall in terms of the receivers. Ben Black, huge game for him. Stepping in for Strong, 4 catches, 56 yards on 5 targets. Had 28 yards after the catch. Sheffield, not a great game. 3 catches, 24 yards. Did have a drop, but was effective. And then Antoine Raymond in the run game. He had a grinded out Monungai type performance today. 29 carries, 116 yards, 4 yards a carry. Had a touchdown. Had 2 catches for 18 yards. So he really was a good complement and steady force for this offense. But overall, I thought the big key. In terms of the resiliency of this team, you have to give credit to Jai Patel. Missing that early on field goal, been in a real rut since he made a program record 18 straight field goals. And then he comes on the field the last 3 minutes of the game and makes 2 clutch field goals. Granted, not particularly long field goals. One was 20, which is an extra point distance. And then I think the game winner was 35. But for him to be able to do that in those pressure situations to tie the game and then to win the game, that was definitely a feel-good moment. He's been through a lot in his Rutgers career. Last year, talked about it quite a bit how I thought the coaches did him a disservice in terms of how they kind of utilized him, and it did not do well for his confidence. Then he rebounded last year, and then he started off really well this year, has some struggles, even on short field goals, but he was able to come back and to be able to tie the game and then win the game. Unbelievable. You got to give this defense credit. This is the best they played. I think it's pretty apparent that Shiano was calling the plays today for the first time. He alluded to it, but did not specifically call it out. And they did look better. They made some big stops and big moments. And overall, I mean, they held Purdue, which is not a great offense, but has been effective at times, to just 350 yards of total offense, 345. And Rutgers outgained them by 200 yards, 543. So that's a huge difference. Held them to 1 of 9 on third down. That was huge as well. And then, of course, got that huge takeaway at the end of the game, reminiscent of at Virginia Tech a couple years ago, getting that late turnover, a fluke play, a play that, many people tweeted at me was a play Rutgers typically loses on. Brown, the quarterback, getting the ball deflected, catching his own deflection, and then getting the ball stripped. Just an unbelievable effort by the Rutgers defense to be able to do that. And that was just a huge play in the game. That was that forced fumble was an Anago. He had a couple big moments in this game at a tackle for loss, and he stripped the ball and forced that fumble. He's been a real nice addition, I think, on the defensive line. He stepped up big time, and that was just a monster play. And listen, you got to give credit to Elad playing against his former head coach, Barry Odom from UNLV. Elad has struggled a lot this year. He comes with a big price tag. It's been fair to be critical of him, but he recovered. He deflected the ball. Anago deflected the ball and then stripped the ball, and then Elad fell on the ball and recovered it. And for him to do that in that kind of situation, it's just a nice story for him to be able to do that with the struggles he's had and be able to turn that game around for Rutgers. They were dead in the water. Listen, they were dead in the water several times in this game. When Rutgers went down and scored and took the lead with about 7:50 to go, that was the third Big Ten game this season. They've led in the fourth quarter with 7+ minutes to go, and I didn't feel good about it. And then Purdue went down and scored a touchdown. So I'm sure every Rutgers fan was feeling uneasy about Purdue being able to ultimately win that game. I don't know what the probability was. Not good for Rutgers to win. And then, you go down the field. They threw a couple big balls. Duff had some big catches. And then they get down there, and I was really frustrated with the play calling. They got conservative. They were running the ball. You run the ball on third down. Everybody knows you're going to throw on fourth down. I didn't like the play calling, but it didn't matter because I felt like when you do run on third down, you're playing for the field goal. And they were running the clock down. They were just trying to tie the game again into overtime. They tied the game. And then the defense, Purdue had the ball back with about a minute to go, and the defense made that huge takeaway that changed the entire game. And then the offense comes on the field, and they were able to get into good field position. They ran the ball pretty effectively there. I thought Rutgers, their run ability in that fourth quarter was huge. I just want to try to look up the yardage real quick if I can. We'll see if I can find it. But comparatively, the defense was able to get enough stops today. Now, listen, they did not do well against the run. They really struggled. Once again, Purdue averaging 7.8 yards per carry. That was a big thing. I mean, they held Purdue in check in the pass game. But overall, just in terms of red zone, I mean, Purdue was very successful in the red zone. They were 3 of 3 in there. Rutgers struggled a little bit again, but overall, I thought it was the character of this team that's shown through. Now, all that being said, listen, it's a huge win. Rutgers is 4-4 now, their first Big Ten win. It checks the box of disastrous season, somewhat avoided. If you get another win and you finish 5-7, you get 2 Big Ten wins. It's not a disaster season. It's not a good season, but it's not a disaster. If you lose today, there's a good chance you don't win the rest of the season. So it was a huge win. Now, Purdue has now lost 14 straight Big Ten games. They are not a good football team. I honestly think the way in which Rutgers played today was not particularly good. Overall, they had some positives, But I feel like the way they played, honestly, I don't know how many other Big Ten teams they could have beaten today. And you barely beat Purdue with a little bit of fortune, right? You make your own good luck sometimes, and that's true. And I think they did. But you barely beat Purdue. And you made a lot of mistakes. There were two wide open, two awful blown coverages on defense that gave up touchdowns. They missed the field goal early on. They went for it on 4th and 4. It didn't convert. They made some typical mistakes that we've seen early in games that has come back to bite this team. And A, they get credit for overcoming them. B, the quality of opponent they played was not good. And in part, why they were able to overcome them. So the big thing is, how are they going to be moving forward? Are they improving as a team? And are they going to be able to win another Big Ten game? So that's the big question mark in this game. And I'll be honest, I'm not so confident. I mean, now they play Illinois on the road next week. Illinois lost at Washington this week. They're not going to be ranked. So that streak is off the table in terms of having the longest, P4 streak of not winning, being a ranked opponent. I think it's 45 now since 2009. At any rate, it doesn't matter. You go to Illinois. Is Illinois supremely more talented than Rutgers? I don't think so. Is Illinois playing much better football? Yes. Do they always play competitively? Yes. It's on the road. I think what's really frustrating now is looking at that Minnesota loss. That was one of those. Rutgers had the lead in the fourth quarter. Minnesota getting blown out. Yes, they're a different team on the road. I know. But getting blown out at Iowa today. They did beat Nebraska at home, which, was a big win for them. But if you had that game, if you pulled out that game, you'd be 2-3 right now and 5-3 and one win away from a bowl victory. And the trajectory of the season would be completely different. The narrative right now would be completely different. Now you're at a point where, and then with the way you win today, right? And you have one win under your belt. And now you go to Illinois and then you come home to face Maryland. And yes, they have a real shot against Penn State. So a bowl game is still in the picture. Whether you believe it or not, it's still mathematically possible. Of their 4 remaining games, they have a decent shot in 2. Maryland and Penn State at home. Not at Ohio State. And then at Illinois is questionable. I think this team's going to have to play much better than they did today to beat Illinois next week. No doubt. I think everybody understands that. What's important about today is that Callie McManus got back at it, looked much better. The offensive line struggled. They gave up 5 sacks. Similar struggles to the Rutgers defense, 0 sacks, not a lot of pressures. I will give, Eric O'Neill credit. He had a couple really good plays today. He's been solid. He's honestly been a little bit better than I thought he would be. They forced that big turnover at the end, but, they did not defend the rush very well. A lot of the similar, they did get the huge takeaway. They did force 2 fumbles in this game. They got 1. But, special teams gave up that big kickoff late in the game that let Purdue score the touchdown or gave them momentum to. So they're still making a lot of the same mistakes. And I think moving forward, can this team improve enough to get at least one more win, possibly 2? And I think right now, even after this win, it's still hard to see that. And today wasn't about NIL. Today was about, going out there and executing, being the better coached team. And there were moments where you didn't feel that way. And again, at the end of the day, a win is a win is a win is a win. Thrilled it happened. Proud of this team. Schiano has a little bit of alligator blood. Just when you want to write this team off, he pulls out a victory like this. He was very emotional after the game. I think he said on BTN after the game, he knew how much they needed this win. It's been, I'm sure it's taken a toll on him and his staff this year. They knew they needed this game because things could really spin out of control if they didn't. Now it's about taking the lessons learned, building confidence off this win, and going to beat an opponent you're not supposed to beat. And that would be Illinois next week. If you go and out on the road and beat Illinois next week, and then you come home to Maryland, and all of a sudden the season trajectory, the narrative has completely changed. So I have some hope that could happen. At the same time, realistically, there were a lot of concerning things that happened. This game was a frustrating game. And it was a razor thin margin of error. Now they pulled it out, and I'm so happy they did. But I think at the same time, this program, where they finish this season, 4-8 could be where they finish. This could be the last win of the season. I like to think that it's not. I think they have 3 legit opportunities in the last 4 games. You got to win one of them. Hopefully you win 2. And then it's a positive story. Schiano getting him back to a bowl game. He's going to get all his roses and flowers that he deserves if that happens. But right now, this is not a very good football team that escaped disaster on the road with a win, no doubt. But they certainly tested. I'm getting choked up about it. I had to take some Tums. It was a rough road, but they got it done. Rutgers football, first Big Ten win of the season. 4-4 overall, just where they were last year. Are we ready for a special November like last year? We'll have to see. Thanks so much for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful podcast.